Hello, and a very, very good day to everyone who's joined me in on today's webinar. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me. And I'm really, really excited to talk about something that pretty much, impacts every organization out there, but doesn't always get the attention it deserves, which is Active Directory mismanagement, right? Now, before I proceed, can you all let me know if you're able to hear me all right and see my screen as well? So if you can just, give a thumbs up in the chat, it'll be wonderful, and I will proceed from there. Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for letting me know that you're able to hear me all right and see my screen as well. So we are going to explore something today that really happens in your Active Directory when your hygiene slips, and why it's that big of a deal, and how you can fix it in a way that doesn't eat up your IT team's time and sanity and well. And I promise this won't be a dry technical lecture. I'll be sharing real world examples, relatable scenarios, and practical takeaways that you can apply immediately. So if you also have any questions, if you have any doubts while I am in the session, please post them on the chat. I will take them at the end of the session, right? And I will have them addressed then. So let me ask you this so you can reply in the chat, right? So when you think of your Active Directory, what comes to your mind? See, most people that I know say login, username, maybe even group policy, correct? But here's the truth: your Active Directory is more than just logins. It's the central nervous system for your identity infrastructure, correct? It handles authentication, which is verifying users, authorization, what each user can access, and of course, policy enforcement, wherein how the access rights are working around. Now, everything from your file servers, applications, and emails to your Microsoft 365 and cloud services, all are tied back to your Active Directory. That is why, Active Directory isn't managed properly. If it is not, it doesn't just affect your logins, it affects every single thing in your IT infrastructure. AD basically is literally the foundation of your IT setup. Okay. Imagine building a house. Now, if the foundation isn't stable, even the rest of the house looks great. It's only a matter of time before your cracks show up. So, even in Active Directory, those cracks can often look like misconfigurations, unauthorized access, policy loopholes, right? Help desk overload, and so on. And the scary part is that most of these issues don't even throw up big, like red warning signs. They're very silent risks, quietly building up over time until something breaks, and often it's too late. So let me be more specific. Here's a breakdown of where actually it starts to go off the rails. The first thing: stale accounts. These are inactive users or machines that no longer belong in your network, but they still have the permissions. Now, these are again gold mine for attackers. Also, they rack up unnecessary licensing costs as well. The second, excessive permissions. Now, have you ever seen a marketing intern with the domain admin right? I don't know if you have, but I have, right? And it also happens more often than you think. Over permissioning again is a major, major security risk. Then we're talking about password policy. Default password, no rotation, and no complexity rules. This is the easiest way for bad actors to creep in. And again, you having a password where you say password at 123 or something like that is going to again raise another concern. Now, inconsistent GPOs then. Group policies are incredibly powerful, but again, when they are scattered or overlapping, they can create multiple loopholes, which it makes it hard for you to detect. And then lack of auditing and monitoring, which is again, no visibility, no control. So if you cannot tell who changed what, when, and where, you're flying blind. And finally, manual provisioning and deprovisioning. If you're still creating or disabling accounts manually, then my friend, you are in the wrong position, right? This is not supposed to happen even in 2025, wherein we go ahead creating manual PowerShell scripts, right? That's slow, it's error prone and risky, especially during offboarding. So if again, whatever I said, if any of you are able to relate to it, just drop in some kind of emoji on the chat bot that you feel is your current situation, right? Because most of us feel frustrated when it comes to managing our Active Directory. Now, how do AD misconfigurations open room for attackers? Now, this is where things get a little bit real. All those misconfigurations we just talked about, they're not just admin headaches, right? They're entry points for attackers. Let me give you a few examples. For password spraying attacks. Now, if your Active Directory has weak passwords, attackers can try a few common ones across a lot of accounts and it works, right? Curb roasting. If you've got a service accounts with, let's say, poor passwords, attackers can easily extract ticket hashes and crack them offline. Excessive permissions. So once inside, attackers love finding, overly privileged accounts that let them escalate their access. So it's not just about one bad sitting. It's also about a chain of reactions that you can see. So, right from a misconfiguration account to compromise to privileged user escalation, domain compromise, and so on. All of this leads to data breaches, ransomware, and again, a full blown operational chaos. Now, security aside, right? The productivity drain again is too much within your Active Directory. You also have multiple impact areas. For example, help desk overload, slow onboarding, offboarding, right? Delay in so many other processes. So if, let's say, assuming your help desk technician gets held up in managing your Active Directory, the other important business tasks that could be and prove more valuable, right? It all escalates, it all bottles up, and he's not able to take action there. And every manual task again, creating accounts, disabling old ones, fixing group memberships, taking time away from strategic work, all of this comes under productivity drain. So not only is your security at risk, your team's bandwidth and morale is too, right? So bringing compliance into the picture. We've spoken about what can happen, the cost of AD, and all of that. Okay. What next? Compliance. Anywhere, any part of the world, any organization you can be in, everybody has to be compliant, correct? So, whether you're under GDPR, HIPAA, SOX, or all three, you need to prove three different points. First, who has access to what, when and how it was granted, and whether permissions follow the principle of least privilege. Now, if you've got stale accounts, excessive permissions, or unmonitored GPO changes, you're out of the compliance, period. There's nothing going back. And that's not just a slap on the wrist, correct? It could also mean fines, legal trouble, or loss of certifications as well. So the cost of Active Directory management isn't just technical, it's legal, financial, and also reputational. Just a few examples over the years, right? In 2022, an attacker used social engineering to get a user to approve MFA requests. That led to domain access in Uber's Active Directory. Now, from there, what happened? They found these scripts, these credentials, and tools, and got into critical internal systems. So, why did this work? First thing, there was no MFA fatigue, right? Then, poor credential management. And finally, too much privilege. The same thing happened for Cisco as well. The Lapis group compromised on employees' credentials and moved laterally inside Cisco's network using Active Directory privilege escalation, and they also tried to modify domain controller policies. Now, what do you think was their mistake here? Over permission AD accounts? Definitely. No clear auditing? Yes. And weaker life cycle management. See, these stories aren't just from small, unprepared companies, okay? These are tech giants that I'm talking about. So, if this can happen to them, it can happen to any of us unless we fix the cracks in our Active Directory. Now, we've all spoken about Active Directory compliance and all. Now, what is the key change that we need to bring? So we've seen where Active Directory management usually falls apart. It can be through security loopholes, compliance issues, or productivity drains. Now, let's talk about the shift, which is from constantly reacting to fires to proactively building a secure and a compliant, a scalable identity environment, which needs a shift from the reactive to a proactive method. Here again, five key principles that I believe every identity and access management, or not only identity and access management, but IGA solution and identity governance administration solution should also follow, which is visibility. You should be able to know what is happening within your Active Directory from time to time. With that, you should also be able to reduce manual efforts, run multiple tasks on automation, and let it be. You should be able to integrate all of your networks into one system, right? And then auditing, maintaining comprehensive accessible logs. You should be able to see who did what, when, and where within your organization from time to time. And if you are not able to do that, you should at least be able to receive alerts if any privilege has escalated, if people have gotten more access, if their access rights have changed, and so on. Then, talking about control, you should be able to enforce policies, the least privilege following the least privilege, is it, and consistently monitor what's happening. And finally, you should be able to streamline joiners, movers, leavers within your organization, right from someone who's joining your organization till they leave, right? You should be able to do such a thing. Now, that's where I am, going to talk to you about the proactive measure right here. Okay, how you can build foundational hygiene and automation with Manage Engines 8360 suite of solution. Now, what is this? So this kind of solution, or that Manage Engine offers, is something that will help you comply end to end with not only compliance but also managing your Active Directory, protecting it, auditing it, preventing it from insider threats, external attacks, having your passwords in check, right? Role based access control. Every single thing can be achieved within this particular suite. So, in a nutshell, 8360 here shifts your approach from, let's say, putting out fires to actually building a fireproof house. So, one where security, compliance, and productivity all work in harmony. So, let me quickly dive into the topics of today. Right, I have five new features that I'll be talking about within our IAM suite. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please do post them in the chat, and I will definitely take it up later. Okay, thank you. Right. Now, having password policy enforcer as the first line of defense, I am going to ask all of you this. You can be very honest with me. How many of you still have your passwords at password at 123, welcome at 123, your name, your admin, something, or if you have your passwords stuck up on your desktop in a sticky note? I'm going to wait for the answers because I truly, truly want to know. Okay. Right. See, although most people don't agree, but I still know most of us still do that because I was traveling a couple of weeks ago. I was in I was in the Middle East, and apart from that, other countries as well. There, most of them who I asked, okay, say that, hey, I still have a password like this, or rather I have it stuck. And it's really surprising to see something like that, because again, we are all talking about cybersecurity. We are IT administrators. We're supposed to manage our passwords. We're supposed to not let it get compromised, right? That's what we today are trying to take care of. Now, Creating custom password policy. So, like I was talking about, the very first thing, apart from all other activities or all other capabilities that you're going to perform in your Active Directory, the first thing is you should be able to set custom password policy. So whenever a new user joins your organization, you should be able to define, okay, this is the type of password you're going to set. You cannot set a password that is very, let's say, Michelle at 123, something like that. You need to have, like, an uppercase, lowercase. You have to have minimum 20 words, or you should not have more than that, something. And then you can also let them know if they have to set like a passphrase instead of just the password, right? So all of this is possible within this feature. And then if your users try to set their passwords, okay, if you can be, a help desk technician, and let's say every day you get so many requests from your account unlock. Say the moment you take your coffee, multiple people are calling you and saying, hey, I'm not able to reset my password. Can you please help me? This and that. Then this feature will truly help you here, right? So, how is this going to work? So, let's say you have your end user trying to log in from his console. So all he has to do is just say enter and then type the captcha. Now once that is done, he will be prompted inside, and then he can answer the questions or also choose one auth, right? So you can integrate Zoho one auth or generate any POTP based, and then he can then reset his password. Now from the password he is resetting, he can choose, not, or rather he will have to go via the new complexity, which is the password policy rule. And if he sets password that have been compromised in the past, okay, and this is according to the service call have I been pawned. Can you see here, have I been pawned, right? Now AD self service here integrates with have I been pawned and tells you that the password that you're trying to set up is compromised and you have to enter another password. All right, so you cannot go ahead and set an existing password which is that's already compromised. So you have to set a new password according to the have I been pawned service. So what are we doing here? We're trying, and we've set the first line of defense, which is passwords. Now after passwords, what's next? You cannot be remembering each and every password, correct? You cannot have a password for all the business applications, because honestly 15 years ago we've had one, two, maybe five, 10 business applications, but today we're at 50 plus, 100 plus business applications that all of us use. In such a scenario, you can enable SSO for multiple applications. Now we do have certain applications integrated, but you can also do it via custom application, right? You can just go ahead and click on custom application and get that settled within your network and within your domain as well. So it can work end to end, right? So in order for this to work, it has to be SAML authenticated, right? Once that is done, you can easily integrate your external business application for single sign-on as well. Now, password, single sign-on, what next? Okay, when we try to log in, there's always an additional layer of protection that we try to give in. So that's when adaptive MFA comes into play. So multi-factor authentication is something that all of us should have in place, so that as and when your users, let's say, travel from one place to another, go on for another IP address, or log in an additional hours, or generally just in case, we should be able to have an additional layer of security. So here our solution can not only support you with one, two, but multiple different authenticators to verify your user's identity. It can be a security question, email verification, SMS, Google Authenticator, Duo Security, right? We also have SAML authentication, YubiKey Authenticator, and so on. So you can authenticate your users from 19 different authenticators to verify their identities as well. Now, you can ask me, okay, we're trying to authenticate them. What about if I'm trying to use, my fingerprint or my facial recognition? You can do that as well. So we have something called phishing resistant MFA. So if your devices support the FIDO2 authenticator, then it is easily acceptable and you can provide an MFA for, let's say, your Windows Hello, your Mac fingerprint, and so on. So all you have to do is authenticate the FIDO2, and also set it up in our password management solution, and then you are good to go. So easily you can authenticate this as well. Okay, so what next? So let's say you have a user who's trying to log in from another location, or he's been working from home. All right, so in such a scenario, offline MFA helps. So he's not able to connect, and he's not able to get access. So all he has to do is enter his password, and then an authenticator via, like I was talking about, multiple authenticators, right? So he can enter the code that appears on his app and then click next. Once that is done, he will be prompted and welcomed to his instance. Now, for this to work, your user has to be authenticated first online, and then go ahead and he can perform this task. Now you can also ask me, hey, what if he's constantly doing something like this? I don't want him to be authenticated. You can set time limits. You can say, hey, Michelle should be getting authentication only for 7 days. After 7 days, she has to be authenticated online. Only then will offline MFA work for her. So you can do that as well. So all of that put together, and with today's generation, we're talking about AI, ML, GPT, and so on, correct? We've tried to put across something that works with ML capabilities. So something called conditional access. Now, what is this? I've explained individual components to you, right? This particular feature helps your user from the policy that you create. For example, if you have a policy for the HR, for the finance team, for the marketing, for the product management, it can be anything. You can have multiple policies. Now, if you have A in HR team, and someone named B in the finance team, you can set, if at all this particular user changes any IP address, if their device location is different, if the geolocation, or if they do not log in within their working hours, for example, which is 9 to 6, and log in at 10 p.m. in the night, then you can prompt additional access. You can either block their access, you can allow full access, you can give them limited access, right? You can do all of that, and this is again going to be based on their conditions, right? So if at all, you can also choose additional MFAs. For example, let's say I'm logging in from a vacation somewhere, in Bali or Thailand, and can be anywhere, right? So if I'm trying to log in, then immediately this will prompt an additional layer of MFA. You can choose if it's going to be 1, 2, or 3 levels, right? Or sometimes you can also revoke my entire access. So all of this is possible within the password management module of AD360. Moving on, integration, right? I was telling you about how it is important to integrate all of your tasks or all of your systems into one application, right? So over the years, we've moved again from having one function or two functions to hundreds of integrations, right? Hundreds of business applications that we use on a day-to-day basis. Now, having all of this functioning in silos, it will really bring down our productivity, correct? So we will be having productivity issues, and you will not be able to integrate, you will not be able to work in tandem with anything. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that when you integrate your business applications to one single platform or one single console, your entire process is going to be seamless. Which brings me to the next topic, which is orchestration. I hope most of you know what an orchestration is in general, right? Let's probably talk about Beethoven's orchestration. So, what did he do? He brought in every single instrument together to form like a single symphony, correct? That's exactly what our solution here will help you do. You will be able to integrate each and every business application within one single console. Okay, that helps you easily onboard and lateral movement, offboard, every single thing. Basically, managing your user lifecycle identity. Okay, everything can be managed from one single action, which is orchestration. So right from when your employee account is created within your external business application, for example, you're using Jira, Bamboo HR, um, so many other Zoho people, okay, so many other applications. If you're trying to use them, and if you're trying to integrate that within your Active Directory to manage permissions, yes, this solution can help you do that. Your users can simultaneously be provisioned across multiple locations. You can create Active Directory accounts, M365 accounts, mailbox permissions, assigned devices. If you're again a user of Service Desk Plus, which is Manage Engine, or if you also use any other asset management solution, you can easily integrate this particular feature within your existing asset management solution and manage your entire user lifecycle from that particular console as well. Okay, now, so which again brings me back to, you can grant access to enterprise applications, you can send users and all. Now, this is user onboarding. You can also do it while your users get offboarded as well. So, for example, let's say someone is leaving your organization. Okay, you can immediately remove their AD permissions, strip them of their entire access within AD manager, sorry, within your Active Directory, and you can leave no trail. So basically, a complete AD cleanup. Not only your AD cleanup, your M365 as well will happen. So you can send notifications, remove permissions from enterprise applications, and so on. So I'm quickly showing you how this can happen in the instance. All right. So like you can see here, this is Manage Engine's dashboard, wherein you can, the AD360 console is here. So here you get like a detailed, or like, sorry, a bird's eye view of your user reports, system reports, logged on group reports. You can also manage this dashboard based on what you want to view the first thing in the morning. All right. Now, I was talking about the AD manager part of it. So this particular feature here is going to help you manage your entire user lifecycle management from one single console. So it's going to be super, super easy. All right. So give me a moment while my screen loads. All right. Perfect, it's here. So this view will give you again a consolidated lookout on what your reports are. You can also see your risk score, which I'll be talking to you about. Now, quickly moving to automation, correct? So you can easily integrate multiple business applications, like I was talking about, within your Active Directory. Currently, 8360 supports 100 plus business applications. I will also post the page in the chatbot soon, so you can go ahead and see the 100 plus business applications. Or if you're on your computer, you can just type Manage Engine 8360 integrations and you will find that. All right. And then if you're not having the application, you can always go and customize it. So all you have to do is go to automation. Okay, orchestration template. You can configure your webhooks, you can add a new webhook template. So if you want to either post it from AD manager to your external business application, or get it from your external business application, you can go ahead and do. So all you have to do is create an application and then had their headers, parameters. You can choose if it's going to be a JSON file, XML file, or so on. Once you've tested and saved it, it's going to be good. So quickly going here. Okay, I don't want to take too much of time. Like I said, it's not a technical session. I don't want to be in too technical. I'm just trying to give you a great overview of what a solution can do. If you have like in-depth questions, I'm definitely happy to do this and take this up on a one-on-one demo as well. Okay, so yes. Now how you can easily do it is, let's say you can choose a time delay right from 60 seconds. You can immediately choose your webhook script. So let's say your users have been created, and immediately you can choose if you want to raise a request in your Service Desk Plus. This is for again creating assets, getting it assigned, or you want to do a workday email right back or so on. Yes, you can go ahead and do that as well. Then you can choose within your Active Directory if you want to have any custom functions. Okay, let's say you want to reset the passwords for the particular users. You can go ahead and choose either type of password, generate a password, and so on, right? So once all of that is done, if you want to have any exchange access, for example, you want to disable their mailbox permissions and so on, so you can go ahead and do that as well. Again, if you want to reset their passwords in M365 and all of that is possible. So all you have to do is just give this a name, and then just click on save. So once this is done, it will get saved. And then under event driven automation, you can create a new automation, give this a name. And if you choose, okay, if the action is to create you, if it's, you can completely choose, okay, if it's going to be user management or group management or even both, yeah, you can do that as well. Or if it's only going to be user management, you can go ahead and click on create groups and then click on okay. Now once that is done, you can add this particular test that you created and save it. So your automation is running simultaneously every time. You don't have to manually interfere here at all. So as and when your users are created externally, they will directly be onboarded into AD Manager Plus. Or if you're managing your users within AD Manager and want to post them in your external business applications, yes, you can do that as well. So I hope I'm clear so far. All right. Now, apart from this, if you want to run automations just within your Active Directory, you can go ahead and do that as well. So we have user automation, group, computer automation. So let's say you want to run a task for disabling users, okay? And after 30 days, you want to delete these users. Yes, you can go ahead and do that. Again, if you want to add like a successive task after 30 days, you want to delete these users, and you also want to hide them from exchange addresses or delete link users, or you want to remove them from the groups, yes, you can go ahead and create all of this. And let's say, hi, I want to, you remove them from these particular groups. Of course, you can go ahead and do so and run automations as and when you want to do. So you can go ahead, create a policy, or the policies that we've already created, you can go ahead and do that. You can also run them from a report. You can generate reports, multiple reports. For example, recently created users, modified users, dialed in users. It is all customizable. Okay, you can also create custom reports. I will quickly show you that as well within your Active Directory, and choose when, if you want to it to run every hourly, daily, weekly, monthly basis, yes, you can go ahead and do all that. Okay, now when you run this, do you see this checkbox right here, implement business workflow? What exactly does it do? Now, let's say ideally in any company, if you're the admin or if you're the super admin, all the permissions that happen within your Active Directory will come to you. Okay. But let's say you do not want to review all the permissions and you want to delegate it. Okay. In such a scenario, you can set workflows in place. So you can choose who the reviewer is going to be, who the approver is going to be, and the executor is going to be. This can also be based on a hierarchical basis, but if not, you can also choose that. And let's say if you are implementing a business workflow for a particular action, then you can choose if you either only want to have a approver and executor in place, or a reviewer and approver in place, or directly just once the request is popped up, there should only be an executor in place. So you can choose this and have this as your workflow. You can either have a default business workflow, you can set multiple workflows, there is no cap. Okay, so this brings me to delegation. Also, I am quickly going to show you help desk roles. So we were talking about how you can delegate users, correct? So you can easily create roles. For example, you have someone in your organization whom you want them to perform your particular action. Okay, the action that you do, let's say you want to have them admin rights. Okay, you can give this permission. Now if you want this particular user to have complete access to AD management, but you don't want them to modify users, you can go ahead and uncheck. You don't want him to do terminal services, you can go ahead and uncheck that as well. So once this is done and you save these, this particular has been created. And if you go to help desk technician, and when you add a new technician, you can select your domain, you can select the group or the okay, for example, we're going ahead and choosing Badri, right? So once this particular user has been selected, you can click on admin rights. So this particular user will only have this particular right that we just created, and he will only be able to perform active directory management, which is creating users and not being able to modify, but he can create an M365. Okay, now you have to remember to check this particular box, which is impersonate as admin. Why is this? When you check this box, your user's permissions in the active directory will not be altered. Okay, so when you go back and check in your active directory, it will look like as if you have performed the particular function. But within AD Manager, you can go ahead and click on audit report. You can generate all audit reports, or if you want admin reports, see, right now I just created a help desk role for admin rights, and I also created test templates. You can go ahead and see who has created what, when, and where. Okay, you can also get detailed technician reports here, and also detailed log on reports, which is session status, login time, every single thing. Okay, so all of this is possible within this particular feature. So we were talking about automation, how you can set up workflows, and from workflows I also told you about how you can delegate all these tasks to your help desk technicians in just a click of a button. Talking about reports, guys, you can easily click on reports. You can generate multiple reports. For example, you can just start generating users who have been who have been inactive within your particular domain, and then you can go ahead and click particular actions as well. For example, if you go ahead and click on this particular user, if he's been inactive, you can change if you want to move them to a particular OU. If not, you can also attribute, change their password, set custom attributes for the particular users, change their permissions, and so on and so forth. Okay. uh, and again, this brings me back to the home session. So again, by management, if you want to create users in bulk, create single users, or set particular templates for ease and for each and every user that you create, yes, you can go and do that as well. For example, you want a template, let's say when your HR team is logging in. Okay, excuse me. We also saw that in automation. Okay, so in case you want to do that, you can enable something called drag and drop. If you want your HR team to only view a few things, you can go ahead and click on that. So let's see, they must only view the first name, then the logon name, and then you don't want anything else. Yes, you can go ahead. Or if you want the last name to come, you can go ahead and make it mandatory, and you can drag and drop, and once you can click save. Okay, all of this is as simple as it seems, right? So coming back to the topic right here, the next one that I wanted to discuss is access certification campaigns. All right, now what is access certification campaign? It is one of the most prominent IGA features. Okay, it is the process of reviewing and validating the access rights and privileges granted to your users or groups on a timely basis. This again is based on the zero trust model, which is never trust, always verify, which ensures that only the right people have the right access. Okay, so let's say you have employees moving from one team or leaving the company. This easily simplifies the process, and also this supports compliance standards like your GDPR, SOX, and HIPAA by providing audit trails, certification reports, and proof of access. So, like we were talking about in the beginning, you need to have compliance reports and audits in check so that you don't end up paying heavy duties when you're in queue for audit checks. So this here will help you stay compliant, and this again is the part of Manage Engines 8360's GRC component, which is the government risk and compliance component. Now if you are using AD manager. Okay, if you're already a part, if you're not, if you're new, then this add-on will help you stay compliant as a part of the government risk and compliance norm. Okay, this is how the access certification flow chart is going to look like. You can schedule access certification. It is assigned to certifiers, and then these certifiers can either approve or deny it, remove unwanted user entitlements, and audit these reports. I'll quickly show you how this works. Under automation, we have something called access certification campaign. All right. Now, when you create a new campaign, and let's say you give this a name, and then you can choose if it's either going to be an Active Directory component or an M365 permission. So let's say we're going ahead with Active Directory and selecting a particular group. So for example, I am going ahead to choose ADMP users. Okay. Now within this, I can either choose if it's all the users in the groups are to be reviewed, or if I'm going to run a report and see, okay, I want users without managers to be reviewed, or I am going to select a particular user and say, no, I want just this particular user to be reviewed. Okay. So it gets work easier, and it makes everything very simple. All right. Now, once you do that, you click on next. You can choose a default certifier. For example, it can be the admin. Okay. And ideally, the default certifier can also be the user's manager or so on. Or if you can also set certifying assigning rule. Now, what is certifying assigning rule? This is again going to be your workflow that I was talking about. So you can set a particular workflow here. We do have a default certifying assigning rule here, which is going to happen. Okay. Now, once this is done, you can go ahead and click on when you want to start this. For example, I want to start this on Monday and run this every monthly, quarterly, annually, custom, anything works. Okay, on the first, at let's say I'm going to choose at 9, let's say 30 a.m. every morning, and this thing should never end. Yes, you can go ahead and do that. Then you can choose if you want to mandate comments on all approval operations, or you can also choose prevent self certification. Why am I choosing this? Because you cannot give 100 out of 100 marks for you, correct? You cannot give yourself escalated permission. Someone else has to do it. So if you fall under the certifier, you can prevent self certification and not certify yourself. Right now, after this, let's say you have the certification request expiration, and if the certifier forgets to approve this or revoke this, you can send reminders to your certifiers based on one day, week, month. Again, everything is custom, right? You can take all the action. And if at all they don't notify or they don't review this, you can either choose to approve all or revoke all. For example, if you're sure shortly know that, okay, this particular permission person who's moved from, let's say, the accounts payable to the accounts receivable team has to be stripped of all his access rights when he was in the accounts payable team. Okay, you can go and approve it. And let's say if you're not sure if you want to revoke certain access, you can go and revoke that. But ideally, I'd recommend, or we recommend, take no action. Because see, anything can happen anytime. It's always best to have human intervention at points where you have to keep a checkpoint. Okay. So, in such scenario, this will help. Once that is done, you can go ahead and review and then click on save. Your access certification campaign is good to go. So, like I was talking about, this audit also happens when you schedule your access certification campaign. It is easy to understand, it is easy to implement, because let's be honest, we're all humans. We tend to forget what we're doing, we tend to forget even the next thing. So imagine if you tend to forget to revoke access rights of permissions, and you're have the maintenance team coming to check in your audits and all of that, you get caught, you pay a huge amount, bad reputational damage, everything happens. So let's put a stop right there. All right. Now, the other feature under the GRC component is identity risk assessment. Okay. Identity risk assessment basically helps organizations address active risk and vulnerabilities in your identity environment. So it provides a clear view of potential risks, enable admins to take proactive security measures against identity-based attacks. So this again is based on the NIST SP 830 to assess the likelihood and the impact of risk in your organization. So it follows these guidelines as well. So like you can see here, let's say you have two inactive users. Okay, you just go and click on them and you can change their attributes as well. So why is this important? We do not want to see our risk score at 32 or anything above 40. Okay, it's always best to keep in check. Now if you see here, users without password not required, so many of them, it's all critical. I mean, just a risk exposure here because it's 0%, is just trying to show us. But when you see 2 out of 9 inactive users in your privileged user thing, the risk is going to be high. But again, if you see 23 out of 31 inactive users, the severity here is medium because it's a non-privileged user. So you can keep your privileged and non-privileged users in check. You can see whose permissions have been escalated within your Active Directory and take a proactive measure rather than a reactive measure. Okay, now this again sums up how and what I wanted to talk when it comes to AD management. All right. This brings me to the end of my session. I do have a few more points that I'd like to share. So, what basically is our key takeaway here? Okay. You, as an admin, should be able to identify risks in your organization. Okay, should be able to reduce automation, reduce manual tasks, should be able to help others in your organization say, hey, I'm trying to streamline management, I am trying to streamline Active Directory, so I want to do XYZ. So AD mismanagement here is equal to significant security, operational, and compliance risk. Okay, manual approaches are insufficient again and cost a lot. Okay, so you need to monitor your access, you need to enable automation, you need to be able to integrate within your automations and all of that. So this, I hope, provides an easily and complete solution that can help you streamline your Active Directory as well. Now, what can we help you with? I've talked to you about AD Manager Plus, which is our management solution. Okay. Then we have something called AD Audit Plus. Here, you can see who did what, when, and where, at what time. You can click on log on failures. You can see how many users have been logged off. And then we also have something called Attack Surface Analyzer. Now, this basically helps scan your environment, tell the types of attacks you are prone to, and also gives you remediations as well. Now, we do have multiple layers to AD Audit Plus, right? Then I was talking to you about AD Self Service Plus. So AD Self Service Plus is again our password management solution, where at the start I spoke to you about conditional access policy and MFA, SSO, right? All of that comes within AD Self Service. Then we have Exchange Reporter Plus, where you can all in one do monitoring, auditing, and reporting for your Exchange servers. Then we go ahead to M365 Manager Plus. Here, it's your one-stop solution for M365 management, reporting, auditing, and alerting as well. So let's say you want to manage your mailbox permissions, you want to manage spam. Okay, so you can set up headers wherein, if you, let's say you receive a type of subject line with, let's say, big wins or something like that, you can add that subject line within our solution and say block all emails from subject line like this, or block all keywords, emails that contain keyword like this. Or for example, if mailers are going out and you are not able to track who did what, when, who sent what email, you can easily do that. You can track IP addresses as well. Okay, now finally we have something called Recovery Manager Plus. So it's a complete disaster recovery solution. Okay, so let's say also AD Manager right here has backup as an add-on, as in it comes as a small part of AD Manager Plus. But again, you got to we do have an additional solution for backup and recovery, which is this. So you can see you can conduct incremental backups, granular backups. Okay, you can not only do it for your Active Directory, but your Entra ID, your Exchange, your SharePoint, and OneDrive, and so on. So all of this can happen to multiple other systems as well, so you can get an easily a bird's eye view. And why is such a solution important? Because honestly, backup again is one of the compliance mandates, right? You need to have a solution that can help you in disaster recovery. Okay, so that is very important. Secondly, see, accidental deletion can happen. It can happen to anyone. It can happen to so many big tech giants wherein accidental files have been deleted. So many things have happened, you have not been able to recover them. This solution, and when you have all of this integrated, for example, just a quick example, okay? I had one customer last year wherein they usually conduct their annual backup on the 18th of every month. Okay, so now the backup has happened, but um, immediately they were not able to have a solution. So what happened is, once the backup happened and then when the next cycle had come, before that, key critical data got deleted. Okay, so they were not able to find the time frame between the backup happened and the next, they were not able to get the data. So what happened is they had to go, and then because they had the AD audit, they found out who did what, when, where, and how each particular thing. Then they came back to this particular solution and performed a complete AD rollback. Okay, it's not just any backup, but a rollback wherein they went to their first backup, and then all of that. It's a chain of event. I'm sorry, I'm not able to explain this in detail because we're out of time. I literally have 5 more minutes, but this happened, and he was able to get what he lost. So again, if you have any doubts regarding all of this, guys, just reach out to me. I will be able to take it and handle it 101. All right, and the session's recording and the slide deck will be shared to you in your or through your email ID. Okay, and if you have any questions in the meantime, write to me for a consultation at michelle.almeida at manage engine as well, and I should be able to take it right there. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye bye.